Yes, Samir.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So let's start here. So guys, let's start with the Azure data engineering. So when we talk about the Azure data engineering, this is the bunch of the cloud services. Okay. It is a bunch of all the cloud services provided where it is provided to perform the following task. That is nothing but called as what? Data migration. Then we have the data integration. And then we have the data summarization. And then the final stage is the data visualization. So guys, these are all the services provided within the Azure data engineering. Okay, these are all the services provided under the Azure data engineering, where the Azure data engineering is the cloud service, we can say. This is nothing but it's a cloud service. It is a cloud service, okay, where it has the following. What is that? Data migration, data integration, data summarization, and data visualization. Okay, so when we talk about all these, okay guys, so now the next, this thing starts from collection of data. The story starts from the collection of data, guys. So what do you make collection of data? Collection of data is nothing but the place. We can also say, what's that? Collection of data, also we can say it as a source of data. That means we get the data from the following sources of data, because we are going to work on the data itself. Okay, so the Azure data engineering is all about working on the data, that is application of techniques on the data, where source of data. So guys, when you talk about the source of data, the source of data is nothing but a place from where we get the data. So generally, when you talk about the there is a place from where we get the data. That is, we can say, ultimately we get the data from the business. Am I right? Where this business can be, what is that? Suppose, let us say, we get the data from the social networking sites. So what are the social networking sites we have it, guys? We have the social networking sites as, okay, we have the following social networking sites. What is that? The Facebook, Instagram, and then you have, what is that? LinkedIn. Okay. Okay, then we have, what is that? Yes, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, WhatsApp. Okay, so these are all the social networking sites where this data, whatever the data we get it from these, okay, that is social networking sites, is nothing but it is very huge. It is very huge. So we can say huge data. That is called as a huge data. Whereas apart from getting the data from the, yes, social networking sites, we have various kind of businesses from where we can expect the data. The next one is nothing but we get the data from the banking applications. We get the data from the banking applications. So what are banking applications? Banking applications are those, the applications which are used at the bank level. So we can say that the data which is generated by the banking sector is also, okay, is also, what is that? The massive or huge in nature. That is also called as what? Huge data, guys. That is also called as what? Huge data. And apart from this, the banking applications, okay, and we can also get the data from the process. We can also get the data from, what is that? The process. That is called as what? Live streaming process. We also get the data from the business, whereas here we get the data from the live streaming process. So what in my live streaming process? Live streaming is nothing but, guys, everyone, live streaming is nothing but the data which we get it, the continuous data. So from where we get the continuous data, we can say the data we get it from the stock market. Okay, where the values keep on changing every minute, every second. Okay, so whereas even this stock market, and you can say the live cricket match, etc., wherever you have the data as a live, okay, immediate constant data receiving. So this is called as, what is that? Even this is called as what? Huge data. So guys, huge data. So what do you mean by huge data? The massive amount of data. What is that? The massive amount of data. The massive amount of data, else we can also call it as a big data. So we can say that big data is nothing but the data which we receive in huge. The data which we receive in huge is called as what? Big data, guys. Whereas this big data, all of you, this big data is classified into three categories of data. The first one is called as what? Yes, the structured data. The first one is called as what? Structured data. And the second one, it is called as the semi-structured data. Semi-structured data. Semi-structured data. And then we can also call it as a, yes, semi-structured data, structured data, and also we can say it as a unstructured data. So these are the three categories of data we have it. Unstructured data. What is that? Unstructured data. So whereas, let us try to understand what is a structure, what is a unstructured, and what is a semi-structured before we move ahead. So when we talk about the structured data, the data which is kept in the proper form of, guys, the data which is kept in the proper form of rows and columns. Rows and columns. The data which is kept in the proper form of, what is that? Rows and columns is called as, what is that? Structured data. The data which is kept in the proper form of rows and columns is called as structured data. That is in the form of a table, or else we can say in the tabular format. That is in the tabular format. Okay, that is in the tabular format, such as, guys, such as, suppose you have a information that is nothing but, let us say here you have a table, and this table name is employees, and now the data within the employees table is like this. The first one is nothing but the name, ID number, salary, and job. These are the columns we have it. Where I'm writing up the rows here. Can you see the alien? Okay, some ID number here. And then you have, what is that? The salary, let us say some 30,000. And the job, let us say here, it is the clerk. Okay, so in the same way, then you have, what is that? The next one. Okay, the next one, what is it? You have it. Yes, the next one, what is it? You have it. Okay, the next line we can say here, I'm saying it Bobby. Some number, and let us say 40,000. Okay, and then here you can say, what's it? Senior clerk. In the same way, then you have the call as the some number and some 50,000. And here you can say, what's it? SE, that is the software engineer. And then you have, what's it? David, some name, and then you have a 60,000. So SSE, these are all the data. Where can you see here? This data is kept in the proper form of, guys, this data is kept in the proper form of, what is that? rows and columns. This data is kept in the proper form of what is that? Rows and columns. Hence, this type of data is called as what? Structured data. So here you need not work on the structured data. Simply you get the data, we can use this data and we can perform the job. That is called as a structured data. Ready to use data is called as what? Structured data. Okay. Structured data. Ready to use is called as what? Structured data, where directly we get the data in the proper form. Okay. Whereas the next one, what is it? You have it semi-structured data. So guys, semi-structured means what? This is not fully structured, but still it is under the user understandable format. It is under the user understandable format. The semi-structured data is a data where the user can understand it in a better way. Okay, the user can understand it in a better way. That is called as what? Semi-structured data. That is called as what? Semi-structured data. Semi-structured data is nothing but the data which is recorded in the form of a JSON files, in the form of a XML files, or in the form of a HTML files is called as what? Semi-structured data. It is called as what? The semi-structured data, guys. Okay. The data which is recorded in the form of a JSON, XML, and the HTML. Now let us see each one of the file here. First of all, what is a JSON file? Let us try to understand this. Okay. The JSON, guys, the JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation Files, where JavaScript Object Notation File. So basically we can say what is that? JavaScript Object Notation File. JavaScript Object Notation File. Okay. JavaScript Object Notation File, JSON file, where the data in a JSON file is recorded in the form of a key value pair. What is that? Key value pair. The data is recorded in the form of what is that? Key value pair, guys. The data which is recorded in the form of a key value pair. So what is this key and what is this value and what is this pair? Let us try to understand this in a better way. Okay. So if the same data you have it here above, this is called as a structured data. If the same data you wanted to write it in a JSON format, how the data will be written? Let us see here. So guys, when it comes to the key value pair, the data in the JSON form is recorded in the curly braces, that is called as the opening brace and the closing brace. This is called as a closing brace and this is called as an opening brace. Okay. So how the data is recorded? When you talk about the key is nothing but, guys, the column names are called as the keys here. The column names are called as what is it? Keys here. The key value means what? The column names are called as the keys here. What are the column names? The first column name is the name. So can you see here? This is called as a key. So always make sure in a JSON, the keys are recorded in the double quotes like this. This is the key. And now what is the value for this key? Use a colon here. And the value for the key is nothing but, let us say, ALN. So here, even the character value is recorded in the form of a double quotes. This is the first. And next one, what is the next keys? Make sure all the keys are recorded in the form of a double quote. So now the next key is, what is it? ID. ID is the next key. And then you have, what is that? The value for the ID. So what is the value for the ID? 445 is the value. And as it is a numeric, here the data will not be recorded in any kind of, what is that? Quotes. The next one is a comma. And now here you have, what's it, guys? Everyone. Here you have, what is that? Sal. And this is the salary. And the salary is, let us say, some 30,000. Can you see here? 30,000 and then comma again. Then you have, what is the job, guys, everyone. So job is also one of the key, can you say. So keys are recorded in the form of, what is that? Quotes. So here you have, what is the job, and the job is the clerk. Clerk is a character now. So again, it is recorded in the quotes, guys. So this is how the data is recorded in the form of a key value pair. where, guys, where these are called as keys and these are called as values. Hence, together it is called as what? Key value pair. Hence, together is called as what? Key value pair. Hence, both of them together is called as what? Key value pair. Okay. No, that's a fixed format. That is the fixed format you have it. Okay. So key value pair. Okay. It is the key value pair. The data is recorded in a double quotes. This is a fixed format you have it. Okay. Anyway, so now this is nothing but the first row. In the same way, if the second row need to be entered, see here, just a comma here, just a comma here. I'm just copying this data. Can you see how the second row will be entered? I'll show you. After the comma, can you see here? Again, use it here. Suppose now here you have it. What is the second? Keys will be the same, and now the values will change here. Bobby, and the next one is 554, and the next one is 40,000, and the next one is what is it? You have it, senior club. That's it. This is the data recorded here. So this is called as what, guys? Everyone, a key value pair. When you have multiple key value pairs, the commas will be placed between each one of them, and this is how the data is recorded in the JSON format. So we can say this is one of the semi-structure where we will be getting the data very frequently in the real time, even into the JSON format. Into what is that? The JSON format. JSON is the format where the data is recorded in the form of a key value pair. That's it. In this is one of the type of semi-structured data. In the same way, guys, when you talk about the XML file, how the data is recorded in the XML file. So XML is nothing but something called exponential markup language or extendable markup language, where the data here is recorded in the form of a, yes, guys, in the form of a tags. In the form of what is it? Tags. So what are the tags? Guys, these are called as tags here. These are called as tags. So where the first tag is called as the root tag. The first tag is called as the root tag. And the next one, we have it, those are called as a row tags. These are called as row tags. Can you see here? These are the row tags. Row tag. This is called as a row tag, and this is called as a root tag. So now let us okay, and again you have what's that? The root tag and row tag, but this is called as a opening root tag. This is called as what? Opening root tag. And here at the bottom you will have the closing root tag. You will have what is that? Closing root tag. This is also called as root tag. So that is, this is called as a opening root tag, and this is called as a closing root tag. These are called as the opening row tags, and this is called as the closing row tags. So now, how the data is there? If the same data I wanted to write in a XML format, see here, the data is written like this. So what is the first keys you have it, or first what is the columns? Name. Name is the opening, and next one, this is called as a closing name. This is called as the opening tag and closing tag. The difference between the opening tag and closing tag is a slash. Slash, if you represent it, it is means it is a closing tag. And the data here, can you see? Alien. The data will be written like this. In the same way, the next row tag, you have again the opening tag here and the closing tag. What is the opening tag? Opening tag represents the value ID number, and closing tag represents the ID number as a column name, and the value in ID is 445. There is no commas here, guys. There will be no commas placed here. Next, after this, again, you have the next as a, again, tags here. What is that? The third tag is the salary, and next one you have what's it? Slash sal. And between these two, you will have the, yes, guys, between these two, you will have the value, that is the 30,000. In the same way, guys, the next one, what is the next one you have it? You have the next one as the job. So here, this is called as a, there will be no difference in character and numeric tags here. Can you see here? You will have it here, job. and this is closed as a closing job. Closing job, and finally between these two you will have the values. Can you see it? This is the first row how it is written, guys. In the same way, everyone, in the same way, finally these are the row tags filled with the values. Finally, these are the row tag, that is nothing but the row tags filled up with the value. Now, finally, what's it? You have it root tag. So how to close the root tag here? So root tag is what? The name of the table. So what is the name of the table? Just go and check here. The name of the table is the employees. So this is will become your, yes, this will become your what? This will become your root tag. Can you see here? This is the opening root tag. This is the opening root tag, everyone. This is called as the opening root tag. In the same way, the root tag is closed at the end of all the rows are written. After all the rows are written here, the root tag is closed here. This is called as the closing root tag. Getting my point, everyone? So this is called as what? The data recorded in the XML format. Getting my point? This is the data recorded in the JSON format, and this is the data recorded in the XML format, where this is called as semi-structured data, guys. The third one is called as, what is that? Unstructured data. What is the third one? You have the third one as the unstructured. So what is unstructured? The unstructured is nothing but the photos in your mobile phone, then the videos, and chat histories. Then you have voice notes. All these are called as what? Unstructured data, guys. This is called as what? Unstructured. That means there is no proper structure for the data, where this particular unstructured data, most of the times we get the data in the unstructured format. That means out of the 100% of the data, 80% of the data you will get it in this format, unstructured format. And out of the semi-structured and structured, only 20% of the data you will get it in these two formats. Okay, only 20% of the data. Both of this comes under the 20% only. Hence here, out of the 20% only, you will get the data in the structured and as well as the semi-structured format. Okay, structured and the semi-structured format. That means when you get the data, most of the data you will get it in, what is that? Unstructured format here. This is called as an unstructured format. But only 20% of the data you will get it in what? Structured and semi-structured data. So now, how to handle this unstructured data? That is nothing but the main logic and the job of a data engineer. That is a job of the data engineer. So now, guys, when you talk about the structured and semi-structured and unstructured, this data required to be stored into the Azure. Okay, required to be stored into the Azure. So whenever we require to store this data, because this data you will receive it from anywhere, from the files or okay, some APIs, etc. But this data required to use this data, we require to store this data into the Azure. So hence, for that, the Azure provides the Azure storages, or we can say storages in Azure, or we can say storages in Azure, or we can say what's that? Storages in Azure. The following are the storages we have in Azure, guys. The following are the storages where different storage can store different kind of a data, such as the first one we have it as the Azure Blob storage, where this is called as a Azure Blob storage, where Blob stands for binary large object. where it can store, or it has the capacity of storing the data of any type. That means what? It can store any kind of a data. It can store, what is that? Any kind of a data, guys. What is that? It can be the structured, semi-structured, or unstructured. It can store any kind of a data. That is called as a structured, first one. And then it can store, what is that? Semi-structured, and also the unstructured, any kind of a data. But this is called as a limited storage. This is not an unlimited, this is a limited storage. This is a limited storage where we can store up to, what is that, 4 GB of the data. We can store up towards that 4 GB of the data. Okay, we can store up to, what is that, 4 GB of the data. We can store up to, what is that, 4 GB of the data here. Okay, but whereas in order with the next, that is an enhancement to this or advancement to this, again they have introduced one more storage, that is called as what? Azure Data Lake Gen 1, where the Gen 1 now it is not in use because it is going to retire in 2024. This is going to retire in 2024. So discussion on this is of no use because we can't create it, we can't use it. But whereas in advancement to the Gen 1 storage, again, recently they have introduced Azure Data Lake Gen 2. That means this is a storage where we can store any kind of a data. That means it is a more advanced with a more space, okay, with a more space, with an elaborated space, okay, where the data is recorded in a block system, We can say, what is that? The Azure Data Lake Gen 2 can store the structured data, semi-structured data, and as well as the unstructured data recorded in the block system. Guys. Okay, block system where it is called as unlimited storage. It is called as what? Unlimited storage. This is nothing but unlimited storage. You can store whatever the data you have it here. Okay. So whereas this is one of the major storage, we can say. Apart from this, guys, there are many more storages such as Azure SQL DB, where when you talk about the Azure SQL DB, that means the SQL database on the cloud environment. That means what? SQL database on the cloud environment. When you have the SQL database on the cloud environment, guys, everyone, when you have SQL database on the cloud environment, that means it can store only one type of data. When you talk about the storage called SQL, you can store only one type of data. That is called as what? That is structured data. We cannot store semi-structured or unstructured data into the Azure SQL database. The next type of a storage that we can say, what is that? Azure Cosmos DB. Where the Cosmos DB is called as what? No SQL database. It is called as what? No SQL database. When you say it is a no SQL database, guys, you can store again. What is that? You can store again here structured and semi-structured, but not the unstructured. Structured and semi-structured data, you can store it here. Okay. Generally, the databases allows the structured data only. That is the data which is placed in the proper form of rows and columns. But the Cosmos DB, where we don't use the SQL, it is called as what? No SQL database. We can store, what is that? Semi-structured and as well as the structured data. Semi-structured and as well as the structured data, guys. So this is nothing but one of the major and advanced storage provided in the Azure cloud. Whereas apart from this, guys, you have the Azure Synapse. When you talk about the Synapse, guys, Synapse is nothing but this is called as the data warehouse of Azure. Data warehouse of Azure. When you talk about the data warehouse, means what? The data which is recorded for the decision-making system. Decision-making system. The data which is recorded for the decision-making system. And when you talk about the decision-making system, means what? Finally, the data reaches the data warehouse. Finally, the data reaches the data warehouse. Prior to that, all data cleaning, data cleansing, all the operations takes place. And finally, the data is recorded into what is that? Finally, the data is recorded into the data warehouse. Okay. So, whereas here also you can save, or we can say only the structured data will be recorded here. What is that? The structured data, but not the semi-structured or unstructured. It's a final layer of data where we can say the data is recorded. The next one, apart from this, guys, apart from this, we can also have, what is that? Azure Elastic Pool. Elastic pools means what? The collection of multiple databases at a place. The collection of, what is that? Multiple databases at a place. The collection of multiple databases at a place. The collection of, what is that? Multiple databases at a place is called as what? The collection of multiple databases at a place is called as what? Elastic pools. Is called as what? Elastic pool. So when we talk about the elastic pool, guys, everyone, when you talk about the elastic pool is the collection of, what is that? Multiple databases. Okay. So when you talk about the multiple databases, means what? Here, okay, we can have, what is that? Multiple databases. That means what? Okay, that means what? Just a minute. Okay, we can store the multiple databases data in an elastic pool. Okay, so here, if it is a elastic pool, again it can store the structured data only. When you talk about the database, guys, always make sure the data in a database is recorded in a structured form only. Likewise, when you talk about the storages in Azure, guys, you have totally 90 plus storages. How many? 90 plus storages which can store different types of data, which can store, what is that? Different types of data, where we can store, what is that? Different type of data, where we can store, what is that? Different type of data. That's it. Okay, where we can store, what is a different type of data. Okay, guys, where we can store, what is a different type of data. Now, I will show you how, what are the 90 storages. So I will, for that, we'll just see into the Azure. So for that, before I show you the storages, let us see how to log into the Azure. First of all, use azure.com. First of all, use the page called what? Azure.com. And once you log into the azure.com, we require to provide your mail ID and rest of the details and a debit or the credit card details, where it will charge 2 rupees for the free subscription, and the 2 rupees will be reverted back to your account very soon. 2 rupees will be reverted back to your account very soon. So 2 rupees will be charged here, and then only for the free subscription. And the free subscription is valid for around 45 days. It is valid for 45 days. Then afterwards, you can go with the pay as you go model. Okay. So once you go to the azure.com and assign or give all your details, it will reroute you back to the portal called portal.azure.com. This is the portal where we are going to work on the daily basis. Portal.azure.com. So guys, I will show you now how does it looks like. So here, can you see? Just a minute, guys. I'm sharing you the screen. I think you people are already there in this notepad. So type it here as azure.com. Azure.com. This is the actual portal where you have to register yourself, So for that, click on the free account. First, start with the free account. Later, you can switch it over to any other account. Free account, and now start for free. And now, guys, here you have to give your details, your mail ID, everything. Mine is already registered, so hence everything is there. So give your mail ID, everything, and click on the sign in option. So once you click on the sign in option, here you will have the details which you require to fill it up. It says, can you see here? I'm already, the Azure account is only available to new users and is limited to one per customer. That's it. So now, anyways, mine is already, I'm using the pay as you go model. So hence I'm using this. So can you see here? Sign up for pay as you go model. Just click on this. And now can you see here? These are all the details you have to give it. Understand these details. These are some privacy agreements which you require to sign. And here you have to give the payment details. Once you click on this, next it will reroute it the payment details. Then if you click on again next after this, it will be rerouted back to the service usage address, your address, everything you have to give it. And finally, click on the sign up option. Finally, click on the uh, okay, so finally we click upon the sign up option. And once we click on the sign up option, guys, it will reroute you back. It will take you back to a portal called portal.azure.com. This is the actual portal where you're going to work. This is the actual portal where you're going to work. Okay, where you're going to work on this portal. This is called as portal.azure.com. Guys, everyone, this is called as portal.azure.com, portal.azure.com. Whereas, can you see here? This is when you want to, we have come to this to see the storages. Am I right? So just to see here, these are all some storages. So how to see the storages? So for that, just I'm taking you to this. Click on the more services at the corner. Now, can you see, these are all the storages. Can you see here? These are some of the storage services. Can you see here? Can you see here? But databases, these are purely storage service. How many databases is supported here? 21 databases. Likewise, you have 90 plus storages are available. These are all the services you have it. Okay. So guys, these are all the storages we have it here. That's it. Okay. Can you see this is the portal for Azure? Okay. This is the portal for Azure. So guys, this is the portal for Azure, and these are the things we have it. So now, guys, so from tomorrow we will start the practical. So I request all of you to take the subscriptions today itself, so that we begin the practicals from tomorrow. And from tomorrow we are going to start with the first service. So we are going to see the three services here: ADF, ADB, and the Synapse. These are the three. So tomorrow we are going to start with the ADF. I'll give you the introduction about the ADF, ADB, and as well as the Synapse tomorrow. Then once this introduction is given, then we will start with what is that? The first service called ADF. Then we'll move it to the ADB, and finally we'll see the Synapse along with the, the project. That's it. So now this is the process we have it. And now, guys, somebody asked me a question. You want to store only unstructured data. That time, which storage we use? Blob storage is enough now to store the unstructured data. Blob storage is enough, and as well as the ADLS Gen 2. If you have a massive amount, then you can use the ADLS Gen 2 data to store the data here. Okay, so that's it, guys. And about this, any other questions if you have, you can just go ahead and ask me now, please. See,
Samir,
basically, prerequisite means here, of course, for ADB, you require to know the prerequisites. So that is called as a SQL language is required. Okay, and even you require the Python. Okay, Python we require it. So up to what extent it is required, we are going to see in the classroom itself. So if you want more in that detail about this, then if you want, you can learn it, or that will be enough for, as per my knowledge is concerned, it is enough for you to cope up the things. Yeah, tell me the question, please.
how much coding is required in this one?
The coding is almost all zero in ADF and Synapse. The only coding one is in the ADB. In the ADB, you will have the coding, Azure Databricks. Okay. Only in the Azure Databricks, you will have coding, where, okay, okay. So that's it, you have it. And okay, the next one, yeah. And what about this? Somebody asked me the contents brochure. The contents brochure is there on the, the online DurgaSoft. So you can just check on the web page. You will have the contents brochure available there. You can just, okay, go through that, the contents brochure directly. Okay. All the contents which are covered here, that is given. Hmm? That's it. And duration of this is a 90 hours. Okay, guys, 90 hours, 90 to 95 it will be hours. Okay. So where we are going to cover, these are all the things. Yeah. The level of coding, anyways, I told you now, in ADF and Synapse, there will be no coding, guys. Actually, you don't need to write any code here. But for the ADB, we require the coding here. But for all of them, logic is mandatory. The logic, what we use it, mandatory, rather than application of rest of the things. Okay, that's it, guys. Any other questions?
Sir, I had a question. So, with this course, can we target for Azure Data Engineering Certification exam?
Definitely, you can target it. Definitely, you can target it. So you can go with the Azure Data Engineering certification. Definitely, because almost all everything is covered in this full stack. This is a full stack course where we are going to cover all this.
Sir, also like as we focusing fully on Azure, so can we target for Microsoft interviews and jobs in Microsoft?
Definitely, no. You can just do it. So whatever you are going to see, the level of, the level of case studies and all this, that that will be, sufficient for you to crack the interviews. Okay, because we are going to see the scenarios in depth. What are all the complex pipelines are required? What are the complex case studies? That all we are going to see it in the as a part of this.
Sir, also like how much of Azure cloud knowledge is required to be able to, join, for this course, sir?
So we are starting with that only, no? So first of all, I'll start with the cloud this thing. So basically, as such, that basically the cloud in the sense, whatever the data you are putting currently in your system, rather than we are using the cloud environment, just like the Google Drive. So whereas the same thing we will see it in more elaborated manner, and what are all the types of knowledge you require for the cloud related thing that we will be seeing in the class itself. You don't require to have any this thing on that.
Yep. Sure. This is my first class, so trying to understand the things. So
Yeah, yeah,
thank you.
sure, sure. No, no. Yeah. Next question, please. Yeah, guys, any other questions? Okay. So, guys, that's it. If you have any further questions, you can just ask me. Okay. And we'll continue tomorrow the same time that is at 9 o'clock. Okay, 9 to 10. This will be the standard timings for the class. Yeah. Any questions more, guys? And here the material will be provided to you. Online material will be given to you. And the course recordings will be given to you as well as the course, that is the daily class recordings, whatever the class that is happens every day. You will get the recording of that. Okay, so you can just use that as well. And when it comes to this, the recording duration, after completing the course, you will have it 6 months access. Not during this, after completing the course, you will have 6 months access. So I think that would be enough for you to go ahead with the subject and complete the topics. That's it, guys. Thank you, everyone. And
Sir, how to prepare the Azure means on the premises?
I'll show you that how to prepare this on premises also. I'll show you.
Means I am asking means what exactly practice after the class? Suppose you are teaching the means Azure Data Factory, that after the class completed, I have practice. And that time, which means
See, it's
which platform
already,
we use?
see, when you talk about the on premises, you have two techniques here. If
Okay.
already some kind of on premises software is installed, such as Oracle software is already installed in your PC, that you can use it as a on premises. If it is not
Okay.
installed here, you can use the virtual machines. Okay, virtual machine to install it, and you can do it. That's not a thing.
Okay.
So that on-premises scenarios also we will discuss it in the class. How to use the on-premises. If it is not available in your PC, what is the way of using the on-premises? All these are the things we'll just discuss one after the other.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So thank you, guys. Any other questions? If you have, you can ask me, please.
Sir, I heard like there is a student-based subscription on Azure. So one of my friend is doing masters in US. So he said like for the students specifically, we'll get like more of additional benefits with respect to Azure. So
Yeah,
is
obviously,
that
but all
like
the
good to
options
go?
doesn't works there. Some of the options some of the services what we are using it here as a practical this thing, that is not going to work in that students this thing. Okay, that is totally a student orientation service. Okay, where some of the things, because we are going to see some of the live examples where I don't think that is going to work in this.
Oh, sure.
So that's it, guys. Okay, so we'll continue tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.